Hey there, it's 2021 and on this day exactly 5 years ago I released my first drawing tutorial video. It's already been that long. Like last year, I want to do a recap of the previous year and also talk about my plans for the future. But before that, let me briefly tell you how I'm going to celebrate this 5-year anniversary. From today until the end of April, I'm offering a special deal on Patreon. Why April? Because that's when I turned 30 years old. Another event to be celebrated, so I thought why not combine it. It works like this. The first 4 tiers, from the thank you tier to the super thank you tier, are going to be upgraded to the next tier. So the first tier will have the rewards of the second tier, and so on. Only the special thanks rewards will stay the same. Also the ultra thank you tier will have twice as many rewards than normal. Only the highest tier will stay the same, because it already has the maximum amount of rewards basically. If for example you're interested in my tabletop tokens from my shop, this is another way to get them for almost the same price, but you also get some other neat stuff. And you would also support my work, which is immensely appreciated. Even just $1 a month means a lot to me. So please check it out and make sure to read all of the additional information so that we can avoid any misunderstandings. Alright, let's talk about 2020, in particular how the year was for me. A lot of people have struggled and experienced hardships because of the pandemic and chaotic political situations. All of that didn't have that much of an impact on my personal life, however, fortunately. I already was staying at home almost all the time before COVID-19 started to spread out in Europe. As a result, almost nothing has happened for me last year. I pretty much only went outside when I needed to buy groceries. Of course, I made sure that I still stay somewhat healthy. Got some vitamin supplements, especially vitamin D. I got myself a dance pad to play Stepmania so I stay in shape. And I got myself a height adjustable desk. My spine is very thankful for that. And you notice that my filming setup is very different now. And, well, one large change in my life was that my cat Hanami has passed away at the beginning of summer. I also made a community post about it. There was nothing that could be done. It hit me really hard. For quite a while, I was unable to do any sort of normal work. Instead, I painted the walls of my hallway as a distraction. Oh, and before that, a lot of cleaning needed to be done. For those of you who don't know, Hanami comes from the Japanese word hanamizu, which means snot. She had a chronic condition that caused her to produce too much snot, and she sneezed every day, spreading it around. It was gross, but I was able to adjust, and I would have never given her away because of it. She was a sweetheart, and I loved her very dearly. My other cat Hoko and me are fine now. We got used to the new situation. But yeah, as I said, other than that, nothing else has changed in my life. Just stayed at home all the time. Of course it sucked that I wasn't able to meet my family and friends. But, you know, the internet helped out a lot. I even taught my mother how to use Discord. As for my work, the pandemic and the resulting lockdowns and quarantines actually helped my channel grow. It makes sense. A lot more people stayed at home and had more time to draw and learn new skills. I certainly wasn't the only one who noticed that effect. Like for example, video game sales were also skyrocketing for the same reason. This year I also started to make my drawing tutorials way more detailed than previously. I started to make tons of extra assets and example drawings, which of course makes my preparations for the tutorials take even longer than before. But I want to make tutorials that are going to last. I want to make them in a way that I can watch them in 10 years or longer and still think that I did a good job in terms of research and quality. My skill levels aren't the same like 5 years ago, not at all. Back then I had the mindset that the tutorials are going to be very flawed anyways, so I put less work into them and at some point they might get some remakes. However, now I have much more confidence in my drawing, research, video editing and scripting abilities. They surely aren't perfect, far from so. There's still so much room for improvement. But I don't think that I will ever remake any of the newer tutorials. So I might as well put some extra effort into them if they're supposed to last forever. Also, if the videos have a better quality, then obviously people will watch them longer, and YouTube's algorithm might favor them more. I say might, because it's still very unpredictable to me. I just don't know. In 2020, I finished my tutorial series about wildcats. Well, at least for now. Maybe I will add more in the future. Right now it has tigers, lions, snow leopards and cheetahs, so a lot of the most popular wildcats. That video series is also a good example for how I changed the way I make tutorials. You can notice a clear difference in detail and amount of extra effort between snow leopards and cheetahs compared to tigers and lions. And then I started my series about water, which is still ongoing. I only was able to release 3 tutorials, and all of them don't do all that well in terms of views. Admittedly, I already knew beforehand that water drops, underwater bubbles, and soap bubbles aren't going to be the most popular tutorial topics. But I thought that those topics are going to be rather short and quick to do. And like so often, I was very wrong about that. There was so much to learn about them, and therefore so many things to explain. I just have to realize and accept that the way I do my drawing tutorials, they take a lot of time to make. So I wanted to bring some additional content to my YouTube channel. I started making narrated time-lapse videos and live streams. Of course, the time-lapse videos don't perform all that great, but they also require significantly less effort, so it's okay. Also, they were a way for me to make full art pieces, and not just example drawings for the tutorials. Doing live streams on my main YouTube channel was in hindsight a mistake. People weren't interested in them because they subscribed to my channel primarily for tutorial videos. So I saw a couple of people unsubbing and probably even more people turning off their notifications. Well, it was at least worth a try. I'm still streaming, but on my secondary YouTube channel in addition to my Twitch channel. But other than that, I actually had fun streaming, and I'm looking forward to do more of them. 2020 was the year where I was planning on doing the last push for my tutorial show. And unfortunately, it wasn't enough, even with the boost from the pandemic. So now I have to change my strategy. The reason is simply because I'm running out of time financially. I also talked about it in a recent community post. So now that I'm done with the soap bubble tutorial, I'm taking a break from making drawing tutorials. This doesn't mean that there will be no videos any longer, just that there will be new kinds of videos. One of these new series of videos will be digital tutorials, so tutorials explaining how digital art programs and things like that work. I already have a lot of experience, because, well, I'm using them all the time. The first one about how to record a time-lapse already came out, and I already see some crazy results. It took me about 4 days to make, and it is already, by far, the fastest growing video during its first weeks after release. I understand it, of course. Something like that is addressing a much broader audience. But, still kind of frustrating. Well, I have a couple of additional ideas for digital tutorials, so there will be more. Additionally, I also want to start an art discussion video series. At least that's what I'm calling it right now. Haven't come up with a better title yet. As the name suggests, I will talk about art-related topics and discuss them. For example, one of the first videos I want to make is about whether or not it's okay to use references. A lot of you probably think now, duh, of course it's okay. But surprisingly, in a lot of places, it's apparently still considered kind of controversial. And if you think about it, the topic is way more complex and can't be simply answered with a general yes or no. Well, I'll go into more detail in the video itself. I will make sure to do a lot of research for it, which will take some time, but significantly less so than for my drawing tutorials. Another thing that I started doing, which is unrelated to my YouTube channel, is making more tabletop tokens for my Gumroad shop. Probably most of you didn't know that, but I have a shop where you can buy character tokens for your Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder or other tabletop RPG campaign. I'm trying to diversify my income, so this is yet another way to support me if you're interested in such things. And I have to say, it's a lot of fun designing those characters. I'm learning a lot by doing this too. So yeah, my plans for 2021 in a nutshell are making more tabletop tokens, making digital tutorials, making art discussion videos, and keeping on streaming. At some point I still would like to make more drawing tutorials though, but I'll probably work on them on the side rather than just focusing on them. I want to continue the tutorial series about water, and the next topic I'd like to tackle would be clouds. This is of course a very extensive topic, because there will be again a lot of physics involved, and there are tons of different cloud types and ways to draw or paint them. So it will take a while. I hope you can be patient though. Once I finally get to a point where I'm financially more stable, I'd like to focus more on drawing tutorials again. But also, if 2021 is not going to be successful for me and my income has barely increased, I will have to look for some other kind of work. Which will mean that I'll have way less time to make videos for my YouTube channel. I hope it won't come to that. It is still what I love doing. The only things that frustrate me is the whole numbers game and algorithm crap. I just want to have the freedom to be creative and make whatever I'm interested in, while also being helpful to a lot of people. Well, 2021 is certainly going to be an interesting year for many different reasons. To those of you who stuck around with me and still support my work, even if it's just by watching my videos, thank you so much. Your kind and motivational words that I keep on reading in the comments help me a lot. Without them, I don't know if I would still be making videos. I appreciate all of you and wish you a great year 2021. It might not be the easiest year for a lot of us, but let's keep on working hard and not lose our hope. Alright then, see you later.